Today we shall be starting with the stress transformation from strength of materials. So kindly subscribe, share this video to the maximum, share it to your friends. Okay, please hit the bell icon as well to get notified when the new videos have been uploaded. So let's begin with it. Now the question arises that what is the stress transformation? Let us go through a brief explanation regarding the stress transformation. Stress transformation is the method of rotating the normal stresses and shear stresses on a cross-sectional element to a new coordinate system, say x and y. Now, let us consider a piece of wood. Let us just bisect that wood in the inclined direction. That is, let us cut this wood in the inclined direction. So let that section of cut be xx. Okay. Now, let us glue this portion here. Okay, this portion where it has been cut, let us glue this and apply a force P after gluing it. Now first we have cut the wood, and then we have glued the wood, and then we have applied this axial force P. Okay, due to the application of this axial force, there is a resistance that developed within this glue to the resultant force of this P, resultant force of this axial force P. Now we need to know whether this glue is able to resist the resultant force of this axial forces P or not. So in order to know this, what do we do is that we rotate or transform this cross section. Okay, this is a wood. Let's just transform this section. Pardon. This is one side of the wood section. We can consider the other sides. Okay, but however, for analysis, one of the sections is just far more sufficient. Now the resultant force act over this glued portion. I hope you can see the small zigzag texture on the surface of the wood, inclined surface of the wood. Okay, on this inclined surface of the wood, we have to, what we need to do is we have to resolve the forces which are acting on this inclined sections. Okay, they can be resolved in two different coordinates, namely x and y. Now we know that the shear stress acts between the two surfaces. Okay, and it's just and it acts parallel to the surface. So shear stress here acts in this direction. What I'm doing is here is that I'm just resolving this component of forces into tau. The forces are P, and its components can be the shear stress and the normal stress sigma. This is an inclined surface for which the angle of inclination has been given as angle theta. Now why do we need this angle of inclination of theta? Because the two pieces of the wood get separated from these two sections. Alright, henceforth, with the help of these analysis, we can determine the normal stresses and the shear stresses that act over the material cross section, and hence determine how the actual section fails due to the application of the forces. Hence, I would like to conclude here is that we need to know on which plane the maximum shear stress, maximum normal stress acts, and we also have to determine its magnitude. This entire concept is known as stress transformation in brief. However, further as we proceed on, we have to determine how does these stresses actually vary at different points. Okay, these stresses, we got to know that these stresses actually act. Now we will see how does these stresses vary. Now let us have a look at the shear stress and this normal stress variation in the beam in brief. Alright, see, this entire lecture, what am I doing here is, it is mainly centered to the multiple choice questions and for the competitive exams. This will not enlist the complete details. Alright, this is just for the examination point of view that I am doing it. Now let us consider a beam of certain length, say L, and let this be subjected to uniformly distributed load onto its surface. As I told you regarding the shear stress and the shear strain, I will not go through the curves and all, but I will just provide simple examples through which you can have a clear view regarding the normal stress and the shear stress. Okay, we will come to this beam thing later on. First we shall see about a small brick. See, this is our brick here. Now, in general we know that the shear stress variation for the beam is parabolic in this way. When it comes to the normal stress variation with respect to the proportionality limit, what do we call, where the stress is directly proportional to the strain, we have the stress behavior like this. I mean a normal stress behavior like this and the shear stress behavior like this. How did they come to this conclusion that stress actually varies in this way? For that to understand, we shall go towards our small brick here, which is actually a representative of our beam here. Okay, see, we will support this brick like this. Okay, and when we try to punch this brick exactly at its center, because we know that for the beam the bending moment is maximum exactly at its center. In the case of UDL, the variation is parabolic in nature throughout the length. So when we apply the load centrically, we will get the maximum bending moment. However, here we have an UDL, but in this case we are taking a point load. In both the cases, the load acts maximum is at the, the bending that acts is maximum at the center. Now, how does this normal stress actually affect the beam or our brick? See, whenever we tend to apply certain force, we know that the crack begins from the surface. Have you ever seen trying to breaking a brick? If you break a brick, the cracks develop from the surface. Now the cracks have been assumed that the cracks have been partially developed. You have not applied the complete force so as to break the brick into two equal halves. You have just applied the pressure here on the brick and the stresses have been developed. You can see that you can just visualize with the brick that the stresses have been developed in a manner such that the brick has not been completely divided into two halves but has the crack initiation from the top or either from the bottom. Okay, you still need to apply it. Now if you remove this brick from the supports, the still brick is in one half because the stresses have not been completely developed, and still you can with your hand gripping your hands onto these sides, we just apply the pressure here like this downwards. Here you will have the small momentum which breaks apart the brick like this, isn't it? Now what do I want to say here is that the normal stresses, this is the normal load which is acting because it is acting perpendicular to the surface, isn't it? Which one acts? There is a maximum stresses onto the surface itself. Okay, normal stress commonly represented as sigma. These normal stresses are maximum at surfaces, either it can be at the top or at the bottom. Okay, I hope you got to know how did we get this. This is why we have at the top the maximum magnitude of the stresses. However, the compression is taken as negative for the design purposes and tension is taken as positive in the design purposes, but we can see that the stresses are maximum at the top and bottom. Now we got a view about the stress variation diagram. Let's have a look at this shear stress. Now what are this shear stress? Shear stress are those which tend to act parallelly to the surface. Okay, this is our brick here. I held this in the vertical direction. Now I will place this in an UTM machine like this. Now the topmost portion here, topmost grip is actually fixed, and at the bottom we have a sliding base. These are the small rollers. Okay, through this actually we apply certain pressure P. Whenever we actually apply the pressure through the bottom and the topmost portion is fixed, we will have the shear developing here and we will have the crack here. Crack initiates from this point. Okay, the grips have been held here and the cracks initiate from here. Suppose if you owe an UTM machine, you can try this, and you can see that from the development of these cracks it is clearly evident that the maximum stress exactly acts at the center in the case of shear. Henceforth the shear stress diagram appears in this manner. Okay, now let's come back to this normal stress. I forgot to mention one point here. Why is the stress actually 0 here? See, this point is 0 because there is actually the transition between the two different types of stresses, mainly the compressive and tensile stresses, wherein the stress changes its sign from compression at the top to the tension at the bottom. When this transition is being happened, when this change is being happened from compression begins to shrink. I mean, it begins to decrease, and it reaches a minimum point at this point O, and henceforth it exceeds, and there is a maximum value of the stress at the bottom, that is called as tension, and at the top there is another maximum stress which is called as the compression. Now this is why we have the 0 point here. This transition, the transition between the compression and the tension, is referred to as neutral axis. Okay, I will define it as the point of stress transition where the normal stress is 0 is called as neutral axis. So this is the actual practical definition for you to understand the neutral axis. Okay, most of the textbooks have elaborated in too many concepts regarding 0.57 FCK, whatever, and so they can be studied in the reinforced concrete structures in detail, but this is just for you an overview regarding the shear stress and shear strain. Okay, this is how the stresses actually vary. Okay, now we will come across the different cases, that is, we will consider different points here. For example, we will consider the point P here, point Q here, point R here, point S here, and point T here. Got it? At these points, how does this shear stress tau and normal stress sigma vary can be determined with the help of a diagram. Meanwhile, viewers, if you have been taking the advantage of this lecture, kindly subscribe to my channel, okay, and share it so that it can reach to the maximum. I will provide a link below to join my Telegram group where there will be important formulas regarding the various subjects of the civil engineering. There will be important notes or the points that will be given in short. So please go through that and please subscribe this channel. It will help me grow, it will help my team to grow and continue providing the video lectures like this. Okay, thanks a lot. Now let's get to the subject now. So variation of stresses at P, Q, R, S and T shall be studied now. Now look at this. This is going to be important for your exam point of view. Alright, let's draw the small cubic elements for all of these points P, Q, R, S and T here. Okay, so this will be for our P, similarly Q, R, S and T. Okay, these cubic elements, you can assume it that they are here, and we'll see it how they actually vary. So just remember, this one is for shear stress variation and this is for our normal stress variation. Now at exactly at the point onto the top, you can see this UDL means it is an uniformly distributed load which tends to act per meter length. That is the load acting per meter length. Now at the point P, we have the load acting and exactly it is onto the surface, and when it comes to the surface, the shear stress, you can see it is 0 here, and you can see that there is a normal stress which is maximum and there is a load exactly at the top itself. Now what happens on this cubic element, you can assume that it tends to deflect in this manner. Okay, deflect in this manner. So at the top there is a visualization of compression. It experiences the compression, and how does the compression acts? The compression tends to shrink the material, it tends to reduce the size of the material. Pardon, it does not shrink, but it tends to reduce the size of the material. So this is the topmost extreme force, extreme stress, which is compressive stress due to the applied normal stress at the top. Now in exam, what they will do is that they will specify a point in a beam and they will ask that what is the nature of stress acting at the point P. So you can easily answer that it is sigma max, that it is in compression in nature. Now our Q is here. Okay, our Q stands out to be here. Now you can see that there is some sort of shear stress being existing in nature. Now the shear stress can also occur in the same manner but in the different directions. Okay, in the same manner but in the different directions with respect to the normal stress as well. How is that? The shear stress is that which actually tends to act in this direction like this. It acts onto the surface, isn't it, on this element? It acts onto the surface, but parallel to the surface, you can see this shear element is parallel to the topmost surface, isn't it? Similarly, you can see the other shear stresses 3, 4, 5, which are acting parallel to the surfaces. Now you have this normal stress, because you can see the normal stress also exists here. Okay, now you can see this is also compressive in nature, but it is not of maximum value because it acts at this point and there is no maximum stress here. It is just, these are the experimental observations we have got. And when it comes to the point R, which is exactly at the center, the normal stress is 0 but the shear stress is maximum. So we can conclude that whatever stress that acts here, so this one is tau, this one is tau here, whatever stress acts here, they are maximum value of the shear stresses. Got it? Because normal stress is 0 at this point, these are maximum. Okay, just go through that brick concept that I had explained you. I will get the answers here. Now here what happens, this is on the tension side, S and T are here, which are on the tension side. So at this point what happens is that the sign convention changes here for normal stresses. So this will become tau, this is tau here again. See, the normal stresses are acting farther from the point S, sigma and sigma. Now it comes to the point T here, it is pure tension here. You can see this is pure tension, maximum tension, zero shear stress, so there shall be no shear stress here. So this was all about the stress transformation variation at the point. In the next lecture we will proceed with the part 2 where we involve the sign conventions for solving the problems, and there will be regarding the plane stresses and some derivations for different cases of shear stresses and shear normal stresses. Thank you. Please subscribe, please share the channel.